Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Quarantine Projects. Just kidding. I was out here in the garage. It's been 6 months since I've done a video on my Blue Ridge Overland toolkit, so I hope you guys are willing to sit through another cell phone video while the camera's recharging. But I've made some changes since the last video, which was filmed in September of 2019. But I guess real quick, this is the Blue Ridge Overland Gear Large Toolkit. It is very much worth I think they go for about $135. It's bulletproof, has this Velcro, has Molly. On the back side of the toolkit, there's this mesh pouch, which I use to keep gloves. Basically, I have the rubber-coated work gloves and then a set of mechanics gloves back there as well, just depending on what project I'm doing and how oily I think it's going to be. So let's dive into this. For those of you that have seen this already, a lot of what I'm talking about will be redundant, but there are some exciting changes. So let's get into it. I really enjoy the fact that when you open this up, all 6 of these pouches are removable. They're Velcroed in, and this is a lot like med bags I've used at work over the years, where if you only need, say, whatever, your pliers and your cutters, you can rip this pouch out and take it with you, do the job. That way not all your tools are sitting out in the weather. So first big update, and this is a change from the last video. This is a 2-pound Twing hammer with a composite handle. I switched to this because, as some of you remember, I was carrying a small ball peen hammer and then a 3-pound Craftsman hammer, 3-pound head, wood handle, and the handle was slightly shorter than this. It just wasn't a great setup having both those. So this way, heavy enough hammer to do more hardcore task. It's still small enough you can use it without destroying everything. And with this particular size handle, it fits perfectly inside the toolkit. So I'm really stoked on this. And I got it off Amazon. I think you can probably find it at Home Depot or whatever. Craftsman pry bar. This was my toolkit last time. I added this to the toolkit when I was doing an axle swap. Basically, had to change out a CV axle on the front of my truck. I was at my friend's house. I encourage people, when you're doing installs or maintenance or anything on your truck, make sure you're using the toolkit you carry when you go on an overland trip. That way, if you're missing a tool, whatever tool you walk back into the garage to grab during that process, that's something that needs to be added to your toolkit. Now, the exception for me is I have battery impacts that I will use to speed it up, but as I have the ratchet handles, I have everything I need in this toolkit so far, knock on wood. But so pry bar, diving into this, the most changes probably, I guess for those of you that want to quit watching this video early, are going to be in this pouch. I've simplified this quite a bit. Apologize for the camera work. So this is all my electrical as well as some spare parts. So tape. I carry partial roll of electrical tape. I carry Gecko tape. It's a tactical medical tape that I was introduced to through work. And then I'm giving Trail Recon some credit here, but 1-inch Gorilla tape versus carrying a whole roll of duct tape. Gosh, it just makes sense. The footprint is so much smaller. So that's the tape that I carry. Small zip ties. This is a little DIY project that happened thanks to COVID-19. Found a spare parts bin, various sizes of heat shrink, various sizes of butt splice, or various sized butt splice adapters. Some small wire ties, and a variety of Toyota specific fuses. So what size fuses I need for this. I did tape the labels, cut out the labels, taped them to the bottom facing up, so when I forget what size goes to what, I can reference that. SDHQ ABS sensor guards. You only install 3 out of the 4 on a 2nd gen Taco, and some spare bolts. Axle nut with, I guess, what would that be? Retainer nut. So spare one of those. Loctite. And then this is a way to save weight and reduce the overall footprint. I carry a tape measure. I used to carry a 25-foot contractor tape measure. Went down to the Stanley 10-foot tape. Haven't regretted it at all. So that's the first pouch. The second pouch is screwdrivers and some other specialty tools. All right, so first thing, I used to carry a mini plastic box cutter with the break-off blades. It wasn't strong enough, and the locking mechanism wasn't strong enough. It wasn't worth the weight savings, so I went back to a full-size box cutter, and it carries spare blades in the handle, so pretty standard. But for those of you running the disposable ones, they don't seem to work if you're trying to do anything too aggressive with them. Chisel. This is a 5/8 chisel. The kit I bought came with 3 sizes. I went with the biggest size based off a recommendation my brother gave me. He's a high voltage electrician, does substation construction. Granted, different applications, but he said he hasn't broke his 5/8 one yet. Brass brush, used for cleaning parts, cleaning up threads on bolts. Just a good thing to have. This is one of the most used tools in my toolkit. It's a body panel tool, so any of the plastic fittings, specialty fittings that you use, removing door panels, removing fender flares, all those things, you really need one of these. So I think this is very much worth the investment. You can buy them at any auto parts store, probably get them on Amazon for those of you socially distancing yourselves. I just really recommend it. They do make an all-plastic version, which, to be fair, I probably would have bought the all-plastic version if it had been available when I picked this up. So there's that. These mini screwdrivers are great for getting into confined spaces. You get some good leverage with them. Have I used these on my truck yet? No, I haven't. But just in case, leaving them in there, because I don't carry stubby screwdrivers. This is a Klein 5-in-1 screwdriver. The reason they call it a 5-in-1 is 2 different bits on both ends, but you can also use this as a 1/4-inch bit driver. See if I can do this one-handed. I can. All right, so it has your 4 most common sizes for both Phillips and flathead screws. They do make more extensive kits, but I chose to go simple. They do make, I think, like an 11-in-1. They make expansion packs with the bits, etc., etc. But rather than carry a bunch of screwdrivers, I decided to just carry one. And I think Klein is, although it's expensive, I think it's very much worth the money. And having a good quality screwdriver, if you're going to go to a multi-bit option, is just something you need to do. Small file. This file is to clean up threads on bolts, help file down sharp edges on things you break. Many uses, carry one with a small edge so you can get in between the threads on bolts. So that's the second pouch done. Try to keep all this semi-separated. So moving on to cutters and wrenches. Well, not wrenches, pliers. Sorry, can't speak. Oh, this was in this kit. Carry extra valve stem caps. You need to. It's a bigger deal to lose your valve stem cap when you're exposing it to dirt, mud, things of that nature. Okay, so apologize. We don't have a workbench in the garage right now, so I'm doing this on the floor. So, I upgraded everything to Knipex. Knipex is made in Germany. Knipex is expensive. Well, except for this Klein one. But you can do the same thing with a different brand. You don't have to buy this stuff. This is just something I've upgraded to over the years. So for starters, I carry 2 of these adjustable pliers. Are kind of like, oh, I'm totally blanking on the name right now. Oh hell, well, adjustable pliers, channel locks, that's what they're like, channel locks, just with smaller teeth, more of a micro adjustment. So 2 different sizes is kind of their medium offering, this is kind of their large offering. I think those are the 2 most useful sizes. From there, a set of Knipex cutters. I really like that they're short. I can squeeze them into smaller areas despite having the fat handles. And these fat handles just, man, it hurts your hands so much less if you really need to crunch, chop through something. These, they're really fat, really comfortable. Huge fan. Needle nose pliers. Always carry a good set of needle nose. And these Knipex ones I'm really happy with. Pretty aggressive teeth. And again, kind of more of a compact size for what I'm doing. These are adjustable pliers, but the difference between this and this, whereas that pivots and the teeth open like that, the teeth on this open parallel. So this is going to serve the use of like a box end wrench or something more like that. Really handy. I use these actually a decent amount. And I've been a big fan. So those are all the pliers that I carry. As far as electrical goes, I carry this. I've recently upgraded to these Klein strippers, crimpers, and machine screw cutters. Various sizes machine screws, screw them in there, chop them off, crimp whatever you need to, strip whatever you need to, and they also have wire cutters built in. So again, Klein is going to be the more expensive option, so you can get the Husky brand, you can get whatever brand. I would try to, as far as tolerances go, you're going to get what you pay for with electrical tools like strippers, so I would consider maybe spending the money on Klein versus, say, buying Knipex adjustable pliers. So you could buy a pretty affordable set of these of a different brand and then spend your extra leftover money on a good set of strippers and crimpers. So that's that. Moving over here. Okay, so wrenches real quick. One big update for wrenches, if I can find the zipper. Sorry guys, I know, you're sick of watching all these cell phone videos. Okay, so wrenches. Last time you guys remember a bag full of wrenches that was just an unorganized mess. Well, my friends over at Spiritus Systems noticed the mess too and helped me out with this awesome custom wrench roll. So it's multicam arid and multicam tropic because you really got to swing for the fences when it comes to fashion. But I love this thing. I'm very thankful to Adam and the guys down there who made this. So this holds all my wrenches except my 12-inch adjustable crescent wrench. I also carry a small adjustable wrench. Basically, if I don't have the right size, use these 2, and if these aren't going to work, then we go to pliers. So that's kind of the methodology beyond that. But this wrench roll has been huge. I like that I'm laying this down in the dirt and not getting all the wrenches mixed up, lost, etc. This specific wrench set was slightly different than the one they had as a template, so that's why this ended up not fitting in there. I've considered buying a 10-inch crescent just to squeeze it in there, but haven't got around to it yet. So hit these guys up and tell them they need to put this into production because it's very, very much worth it. All right, sockets. So sockets, what I would recommend for most people is just buy a variety of appropriate socket sets and then pare them down as you go. So this is going to look like a lot, but I promise it'll make sense. Or maybe it won't make sense in 2 minutes. So, real quick. Metric Allen sockets. Torx sockets. I had to add this socket for the bed bolts in my Tacoma. These are the deep well metric, as well as some deep well standard, as well as a spark plug socket and some standard Allens. So you'll notice that there's not very many deep wells. That's because most of my deep wells are in the pared down 1/2 inch set that I have going on. 3/8 metric wrenches, short extension. This is like a, I guess, 3-inch extension, and then 3/8 to 1/2 inch adapter, which means I can use my 3/8 ratchet with the 1/2 inch sockets that I may not have in this kit. Universal joint, 6-inch extension, and then I guess that's like a 9 or a 10-inch extension. Ratchet handle, pretty obvious, pretty straightforward. That's all I have for 3/8, and you guys could probably get away with that with a few exceptions, but since I travel pretty far out there, I like to have a little more tools. So this is my 1/2 inch set, 1/2 inch ratchet. These are the deep wells and standard wells that weren't included in the 3/8 set. And then I have a 2-inch extension, 4-inch extension, and a universal joint, as well as, this is the important part, 3/8 or 1/2 to 3/8 adapter. So basically I can use this larger ratchet handle or the breaker bar with the 3/8 sockets. Again, not as optimal as having 1/2 inch drive sockets in a full set, but in an effort to save weight and space, that's why we ended up doing that. Other sockets. So this is the specialty lug nuts for my Method racing wheels. This is what the original factory lug nuts were, but it holds this. And then this is the 35mm socket for my CV axle nuts. This is the most expensive socket I've ever bought. I think it was like $25 for one, but tell you what, the ability to do an axle swap in a friend's driveway on a trip, it was important to me. Or if you can get the parts brought out to you in the desert, if you already have all the tools. I'm not doing extreme enough terrain that I feel the need to carry a spare CV axle, but I want to be able to remove it if I damage it, or to swap it out when I get back to town with as little drama as possible. So again, it's worth the wait for me. And that's it, guys. That's the whole toolkit. Thanks for putting up with the shoddy camera work. I do appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. The last video I was getting great questions on. So again, keep them coming. I really enjoy doing this, and I will increase production value moving forward. So thanks, guys. Stay safe, stay well, stay inside.